TV is pleased to be joined once again by the Honorable Kevin Carey with the U.S. Bankruptcy Court District of Delaware. Judge, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Will you tell us a little bit about, we know that the number of Chapter 11 cases has fallen off over the last few years. Do you expect that trend to continue?
Actually, the trend has begun to change a little bit. There was a 5-year decline in the number of Chapter 11 filings. I'll stay with that. But last year, there was a bit of an uptick. And we see in Delaware a steady stream of cases, not, of course, as heavy as it was in the 2007-2008 timeframe. But we continue to see the larger cases mostly.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. The cases that you see are mostly the larger cases. You're seeing the energy sector right now?
We have. I mean, look, the trend has been to try to do things outside of bankruptcy. So there's an increase in the number of out-of-court workouts, state and federal court receiverships. So there are some problems, though, that can't be solved unless you go through a bankruptcy. If you want to sell all your assets, everybody likes to have the nice, neat court order approving that with all of the other bells and whistles that go along with it. So that, I guess you could say, is also a trend.
One of the dynamics that we're seeing will be the turnover of a lot of judges. What effect do you think that will have on the system?
It's interesting. Over the last few years and for the years to come, much of the bankruptcy bench is turning over. No particular reason, just a consequence of having that coincide in an unusual way. I think the greatest impact that has is the professionals who practice in bankruptcy court, the lawyers and the other professionals, have to work hard or harder to educate the judges who might not have bankruptcy experience because it's not a requirement of the job, so that it will take for the practitioners some getting used to, both to teach the bench and then to learn what the individual judge's expectations are.
Now, you in particular were part of the process of the modernization, of the revamping, of the bankruptcy laws that are being looked over by Congress right now, the reform. Are there some aspects of that right now that you think really should be adopted as best practices by bankruptcy judges?
Well, the ABI Commission's review of Chapter 11 was pretty comprehensive. So there is a lot actually to look at, even if Congress doesn't act quickly or won't act at all. I think it's going to be a long process to see what congressional changes will be made. But there is a lot of good guidance. Earlier today, Judge Drain said it's a great place to send his law clerk because the Commission, in its very extensive report, has done a terrific job in capturing what the law is and discussion of one or more sides of a particular issue. I did issue an opinion determining a dispute about the landlord's rejection damage claim in a bankruptcy. And as it turns out, the Commission had recommended that the code be viewed that way. So I cited the Commission in my opinion. And I'm sure there'll be other opportunities like that. But the answer to your question, I think, is yes.
Judge Carey, who was involved in this? Okay, obviously judges, lawyers. Who else was involved in crafting this?
Well, the Commission itself was comprised of leading bankruptcy practitioners and others in the field. And then what the Commission did was create a handful, I forget exactly how many, of committees to work on discrete issues. I co-chaired the valuation committee. So it involved not just lawyers, but academicians, financial advisors, investment bankers. So it was a pretty broad range. I think the intention of the Commission was to get as many differing viewpoints as they could so that they make sure they didn't miss anything in the way of hearing an important view. There were also, as you may know, a number of public hearings. Lots of written materials were submitted. So the exercise was really quite extensive.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Judge Carey. Always great to talk to you.